Hi, Tom here from the Dreamcast Junkyard, and in this video we're going to look at something pretty special, the recently released E3 2000 demo of the unreleased Dreamcast adventure game, Agartha. Now this is quite a big deal because it was long thought that Agartha was nothing more than vaporware, and that shots of the game shown in magazines of the era were from rolling demos and CGI mock-ups. However, after some outstanding detective work by one Dreamcast collector, the game, or rather the demo, has now been released for public consumption, and you, yes you, can now sample it in your very own Dreamcast. So what is or was Agartha? Well, the name of the game actually relates to a mythical city located near the core of the Earth, and the game follows the efforts of a lone adventurer who sets out to try and find the entrance to the city. Very little else is known about how the story would have played out, but let's take a look at the demo in action. I'm actually playing this on a real Dreamcast hooked up to my capture device with an Akura HDMI adapter from B Harbros. And yeah, let's just jump in and have a look at the game. So this is what you're presented with when you first start the game. There's no menu or anything like that, you just get this loading screen. Interesting, you can see that at the top of the screen it's May the 5th, 2000, and even gives the time as well, 20 past 3 I think that is. It's also an interesting font or logo because that isn't actually used in any other part of the promotion. Anyway, here we are, this is the game. You start as the lone explorer, getting stuck there on a fence post. It's interesting, the controls are quite weird. You'll notice that I will mainly sort of walk into walls and things because you control the guy's direction with the analog stick, and you move forward with the right trigger. If you pull the left trigger in, you get this kind of first-person view. Nice crunching sound effects as well as he runs over the snow. One thing I forgot to mention is the guy who actually released this, his name is Laurent.C. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And also, this game was created or was in development from No Cliche, the guys who did Toy Commander. So we're going to go into the first internal section here, and you can see that the camera switches to an almost a fixed viewpoint, and so then you get the traditional, almost like Resident Evil controls. Here we've got the menu. If you press start, you get this menu. You've got various items that you can select, add them to the main guy's hand. This is the torch, and I was really impressed by the real-time lighting on display here. Again, you move the guy's hand around with the analog stick, and then you have to press the R button to move, and it can get a little bit disorientating because again you have to move the arm, and that kind of dictates the direction that you run in, so it can be a bit confusing. But I mean, this looks fantastic. There's so much detail in these environments, and also the lighting effects are just really impressive. This lady here is just sitting doing nothing in particular. I think she's going to do some knitting now. But when you do encounter NPCs in the world, you do get this. You can see the little reticle there. I don't know what that is for. Maybe that would be for when you could interact with them in the full game, if you know. But you saw then, as you know, the light going through the window, through the door, and the way that it gives you almost like a lens flare effect when it passes the camera is really impressive. So that was an example of how the camera and the moving the arm thing can be quite disorientating. I was kind of stuck behind that door then, but let's go back outside and explore a little bit more. So our intrepid adventurer, he's not completely unarmed. He does have a sidearm with him as well, which you can equip, and then you can fire that with the, I think it's the A button. And yeah, it doesn't actually have any effect on the environment, but it does give a nice kind of pyrotechnic display on the snow there, like you're shooting at sheet metal. But let's continue onwards into the next house and have a look there. I think I'll equip the lantern. Oh, you will notice actually that some of the items that you can equip don't actually have a model in the game. So now I've equipped the lantern, but there's actually nothing in the hand. I also thought that maybe if I equipped the camera that I could kind of enter some kind of camera mode and take some snaps, but it doesn't actually do anything. This is just me holding the left trigger down to activate the first person. So I will go back to the torch because I quite like that lighting effect, and just have a little bit of a wander around this this house. I do really love that effect where the camera, the torch shines into the camera and it gives a really bright sort of dazzle effect. That's really cool. Great music as well. I don't know if you noticed that. But one thing I just wanted to kind of briefly mention is this doorway. I would imagine in the final version of the game that would have some kind of little box outside of it showing some of the outdoor environment, or maybe even just a still image of what you just come in from. But yeah, it's interesting that there's nothing. They've not even bothered to put anything there. But this, again, as I said earlier, this is just a demo, a proof of concept really more than anything. So a bit earlier on when I was playing this, I noticed that I did have a key in my inventory, so I thought maybe this key was for this door. But, well, spoiler alert, it turns out that it doesn't actually do anything, because I think what happens is you put the things in the guy's hand and then you have to use the A button to actually use them. There's a cart here, someone's garage, and then also I noticed that the house that I just tried to get into by unlocking the door has actually got no side on it, so I didn't actually even need to use a door. I could just go in there and have a bit of a nosy around, and yeah, it's looking very cozy. The snow has apparently stopped momentarily as I enter this building, but that looks quite a cozy little smithery, I think you would call it. Again, I do like the way the camera kind of shifts to an almost Resident Evil style camera when you enter different buildings or different scenes, and it's a real shame this game was never actually produced or continued further than this proof of concept. These two guys here playing cards, it looks like. That is one hell of a hat, I must say. And that bread looks quite tasty as well. It almost looks like a bagel or something. You can't interact with these guys at all. So you can't speak to them, you can't shoot them, as I just tried to do there. Yeah, they're impervious to bullets. That bread does seem to take on a mind of its own, though, as well at certain times. You kind of, well, he's just put it back on its plate, I think. But yeah, you can't really do anything with that gun. It's pretty pointless. But yeah, nice beard there, beard detail. Don't really know what was going on with his arm there. It kind of went through his body, but as I said earlier, you do have to control him in these internal sections with the arm. So wherever the arm points, you pull the right trigger and he runs in that direction. Here we are back outside, and I'll be honest with you, there's not really that much else to see in this demo. There's a little section up here with some sort of end of boundaries or out of bounds signs. I would imagine this would eventually lead to another village or something if the game had ever got past this stage. But as it is, you kind of just drop down into this wasteland or tundra. And yeah, you just keep running into infinity, really. Again, I just want to say thank you to Laurent, really, for bringing this game to the masses, because, as I mentioned in the intro, this was thought to not actually exist as a playable game. Literally just some screenshots, maybe on a workstation. But here I am in 2018 playing it on a Dreamcast. So, what else is out there that we haven't seen yet? It's fascinating, really, that stuff is still being discovered, and we can play it. And kudos to him for releasing this for preservation more than anything. And yeah, I'll kind of leave the video here now. But one last thing I wanted to just touch on before I do go is that all of the items in the inventory, you can equip them and you can drop them, but you can't actually pick them up. I couldn't work out a way of picking them up. Press all the buttons, tried different combinations of things. So you do have some quite useless items there, like an ID card and a book that you can't actually read. A thing called a reloader, I think it was, which is a magazine for the gun, and also some binoculars that you can't use. But once you've dropped things, the things that you can actually see rendered in the engine, you can't actually pick them up no matter what you do. So don't do that, because I did that the first couple of times I played this demo, and I was a bit stumped, and then I realised that you couldn't actually pick them up. So don't do that. Keep them in your inventory, especially the torch, if you want to see those really cool line effects. Anyway, I'm going to do a Scott of the Antarctic impression now and just keep running into the wasteland. Thanks very much for watching. Thanks again to Laurent for releasing this. Thanks to No Cliche for even attempting something like this on the Dreamcast. And yeah, if you like this video, please subscribe. You can check out other stuff on our website, which is thedreamcastjunkyard.co.uk, or on Facebook and Twitter. Just search Dreamcast. You'll find us eventually. And yeah, that's me. Thank you very much for watching.